It's great to have a U.S. president part of the club, and this is what French President Manuel Macron said of President Biden during their G7 summit meeting the other day. And it's clear what Macron meant. The U.S. is back in the world's good graces thanks to thanks to the current President Joe Biden. Donald Trump often complained that the world doesn't respect America anymore, but it sure respects the fuck out of out of the current President Joe Biden. The 46th current president has a median 75% confidence rating across 16 different countries, according to a new polling from the Pew Research Center. And Trump scored a paltry 17% last year, and Macron's relief is felt by many across the globe. So it's funny to think back to a year ago when almost every progressive journalist in America was vilifying President Biden during the 2020 Democratic primaries. The sanctimonious zealots of New York media want you to forget that not too long ago they accused Biden of everything from cozying up to and sympathizing with segregationists, which was basically quoted by Vox, to being a potential serial killer who smells hair, basically that was printed up by Vulture. I'm not sure about that one. To being problematic, a fact that apparently no amount of growth or good intentions will change. That was quoted by New York Times. Of course, not everyone felt this way. Biden easily clinched the Democratic nomination. The press, drunk on medical cheek and preening in a bubble, had lost touch with most Democrats anyway. At a time when President Barack Obama was Gallup's most admired man in America, and most of us just wanted calm, steady leadership back, the Democratic journalists convinced themselves that Obama was a problematic sellout, and what Americans really wanted was an all-out, burn-it-to-the-ground revolution. As Biden told Edward Isaac Dewey, everybody in the press thought that the party had moved on, and that I was from another era, and that it wasn't relevant. He's 100% right. The press uniformly depicted Biden as a depraved, sadistic, plutocratic comic book villain, when most Americans remembered him fondly as President Obama's dependable, affable, down-to-earth buddy. Too many journalists had mistaken a social media a mirror universe for this one. A Biden aide told CBS News, "We turned off Twitter, we stayed away from it, and we knew that the country was in a different headspace than social media would suggest." No wonder public trust in the media has never been lower, according to the Edelman Trust Barometer. Nearly 60% of Americans believe that the most news organizations are more concerned with supporting an ideology or political position than with informing the public. If no one but journalists could vote, Senator Elizabeth Warren would have enjoyed a landslide victory. Meanwhile, in the real world, she couldn't even place second in her home state of Massachusetts. But in the real world, only Biden could have ever flipped Georgia and Arizona blue, something most Democratic primary voters, especially black voters, understood. So why couldn't the members of the New York Times editorial board, who are supposed to know anything about U.S. politics? Biden maintains a lead in national polls, but that may be a measure of familiarity as much as a voter intention. But this is what they had wrote on January 19, 2020, co-endorsing Warren and Senator Amy Klobuchar, who would go on to win 7 delegates to Biden's 2,687. And what's more, Biden is 78 years old. He's going to be 79 this year. And it is time for him to pass the torch to a new generation of political leaders. A new generation of journalists whose entire job is to identify what's real got so lost in groupthink that they failed to see the political reality that the majority of the American Democrats did. And now that Biden is being the president that these Democrats knew he would be, the same short-sighted pundits who loathed and tried to cancel Biden are singing his praises through the heavens, with headlines like "Joe Biden is electrifying America like FDR," but how FDR's hair is changing the country. The Biden boom. What's the secret of Biden's success? And Joe Biden was no one's idea of a historic figure. 4 ways of looking at the radicalism of Joe Biden, and this hasn't been an admission of wrongness so much as to attempt to hide how wrong they were. The truth is, they almost got Trump reelected by pushing purity over pragmatism, and they deserve to remember it forever. If only they would say the quiet part out loud. We were wrong, but they really don't need to. America, along with the rest of the world, already fucking knows. But, yep.